Ethan stared at the glowing console in front of him, fingers hovering uncertainly above the holographic keyboard. Artemis 7, the interstellar research station orbiting the vibrant gas giant Velora, hummed softly around him. Engineers and scientists of every species moved about with precision, their actions a symphony of efficiency. Ethan, a human engineer who had always felt slightly out of place among aliens, had been quietly observing the research logs when a small slip of his finger sent him into what could have been disaster. He had intended to leave a private note for himself about a peculiar anomaly in the latest xenobiology reports, but the console, smooth and reactive to the lightest touch, registered his comment publicly. Within seconds, a line of text appeared on the research form belonging to Lyria, the alien xenobiologist whose reputation preceded her everywhere on the station. She was meticulous, brilliant, and notoriously blunt. Ethan felt a cold wave of panic wash over him. "Oh no," he muttered, gripping the edge of the console. He could almost hear the whispering, the disapproval from 100 pairs of alien eyes he imagined on him. He had just committed the ultimate social error on Artemis 7. He had publicly commented on the work of someone far above his rank in a field he barely understood. Seconds passed like hours. Then a new line appeared under his comment. Ethan froze. "Interesting observation," it read in precise, elegant alien script. "Your attention to detail is unexpected, Ethan. Perhaps we should discuss this further." Ethan blinked. He stared at the text, sure that some hidden flaw in the translation matrix had made it appear positive. But no, every crew member who glanced at the holographic form gave him a small nod or a raised brow. The whispers weren't scolding, they were intrigued. He exhaled shakily. "She liked it," he murmured, barely believing it. By the next hour, Lyria had summoned him to her lab, a pristine chamber lined with rows of alien flora that shimmered under soft, pulsating lights. The air smelled faintly sweet, like honey mixed with ozone. Ethan's human senses were overwhelmed, but he kept his gaze on Lyria as she moved gracefully among the plants, examining each one with precise, delicate motions. "You noticed something others did not," Lyria said, her voice smooth and melodic, with an accent that Ethan struggled to place. "Humans often overlook what they do not understand, yet you, by mistake or design, saw the anomaly in the energy patterns of the Veloran flora." I didn't mean to," Ethan stammered, feeling his face warm. "It was just a comment." "Accidents can lead to discovery," Lyria replied, not unkindly. "Your perspective, unclouded by tradition or expectation, is useful." Ethan's stomach twisted with a mixture of relief and disbelief. He had expected scolding, not praise. Now, the alien who had always seemed untouchable in her intellect was inviting him into her work. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging. Their discussion quickly turned from polite acknowledgement to actual research. Lyria pointed out a cluster of Veloran plants that exhibited subtle energy fluctuations when touched. Ethan leaned closer, studying the patterns on the holographic display. The plants seemed to pulse faintly with a blue light, like tiny, breathing lanterns. "I noticed these patterns before," Ethan said cautiously, "but I thought it was a sensor glitch." "Many think so," Lyria said. "But you see what is real and what is merely assumed." Her eyes gleamed, and Ethan felt a rush of both admiration and nervousness. He had spent his life feeling ordinary, but here, in this lab, he was seeing himself differently. For the next few hours they worked together, Ethan following Lyria's guidance and slowly offering his own observations. He began to notice something strange. Whenever Lyria touched the plants, the pulsing light dimmed slightly. When he did, it intensified. At first he assumed it was coincidence, but the pattern repeated consistently. "Ethan, observe this," Lyria said, pointing at the holographic display. "Your touch amplifies the energy. Mine diminishes it. That is unprecedented." Ethan's eyes widened. "Wait, Are you saying humans affect these plants differently than your species? Lyria nodded, her expression thoughtful. It appears so. Humans carry a subtle energy the Veloran flora responds to differently. This could have significant implications, both for research and interspecies understanding. The idea that humans could have an impact the aliens could not was astonishing. Ethan felt a thrill of pride. Here, among beings he had once assumed were far superior, his very presence made a difference. It was a small thing, perhaps, but it was enough to make him feel powerful in a way he never had before. Their work was interrupted when the station's AI, a calm and analytical voice named Orin, chimed in. Alert! Unusual energy spike detected in Laboratory Sector 4. Origin consistent with Veloran flora. Ethan froze. Lyria's brow furrowed. It seems your energy amplification is stronger than I anticipated, she said. We must be careful. As they observed, a single plant, larger than the others, began to thrash its leaves violently, pulsing with bright blue light. Ethan instinctively moved forward, and the plant calmed slightly under his hand. Lyria approached, reaching to adjust the energy readings. The plant's light dimmed under her touch. Ethan realized then that the plant responded specifically to humans, not aliens. This is incredible, he whispered, amazed. It likes us. It recognizes difference, Lyria corrected, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Humans are unique. Ethan spent the next several hours carefully documenting their findings. Lyria guided him through techniques to measure the energy without harming the plants. Despite his nervousness, he began to feel confident, realizing his human intuition offered something the aliens could not replicate. His accidental comment had led him here, to discovery, to respect, and perhaps even to admiration from someone he had long held in awe. By the time the station's artificial sunset cycled, casting orange and purple light through the observation dome, the two were exhausted but exhilarated. Lyria reviewed the day's notes, her antennae twitching slightly, a sign of her focus. Ethan, you may not realize it, but you have opened a path for further study that could redefine how we understand all species' interaction with Veloran ecosystems. Ethan's chest swelled with pride. I just touched a few plants, he said modestly. Touching is observation, Lyria replied sharply, though there was a warmth in her tone. Observation is science, and science requires perspective. Perspective is what you bring. The human and alien sat in silence for a moment, watching the plants sway gently in the fading artificial light. Ethan felt a rare sense of connection, not just to Lyria but to the station itself, to the universe of possibilities that stretched beyond the metal walls of Artemis 7. As he prepared to leave, Lyria stopped him. Tomorrow, we continue. I want you to experiment with controlled interactions across species. Your presence may reveal further insights. Ethan nodded, both anxious and excited. He had no idea what awaited, but he felt alive in a way he never had before. The accidental comment that had begun as a mistake had led to discovery, friendship, and perhaps the start of something greater. That night, as he floated back to his quarters in the station's low-gravity corridors, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the plants. The way they reacted to humans, the potential for discovery, the idea that, in a universe filled with aliens far older and more advanced than humanity, he, just a simple human engineer, could make a difference. And deep down, he knew that this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, the real challenge would begin. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt ready. The next day, Artemis 7 buzzed with a quiet tension that felt different from the usual rhythm. Ethan arrived at Lyria's lab early, his mind already racing with the questions the previous day had stirred. The plants pulsed faintly under the soft lights, as if aware he had returned. Lyria was already there, moving between specimens with her usual precision, her antennae twitching slightly as she observed the subtle energy fields. "Good morning, Ethan," she said without looking up. I trust you have slept adequately. As well as I could, given everything, he replied, smiling nervously. He had spent the night thinking about the plants' reactions, about how uniquely humans seemed to interact with them, and what that might mean. He felt a strange mix of excitement and responsibility. Today we continue, Lyria said, finally turning to him. We must test controlled interactions across multiple species. I suspect this effect is not limited to a single human. Her eyes, sharp yet kind, met his. But your presence will remain central. Humans have qualities that the Veloran flora responds to, unlike any other species here. Ethan swallowed hard. I'll do my best. They began with the experiments. Lyria guided him through a series of procedures, each designed to measure the plant's energy response. She allowed Ethan to handle the plants, monitoring the pulse of light as he gently adjusted their leaves. Each reaction reinforced what they had discovered. Humans emitted an energy that amplified the plant's activity. Aliens, even the most careful, could not replicate it. This is remarkable, Ethan said, eyes wide as he watched a cluster of plants react more intensely than yesterday. I never thought humans could have this kind of effect. You underestimate yourself, Lyria replied almost softly. Humans carry qualities beyond pure logic. Curiosity, adaptability, intuition. These plants seem to recognize and respond to such qualities. She paused, watching his reaction. It is rare for humans to be present on Artemis 7 in positions of observation. You provide a perspective that is unexpected. The experiments continued through the station's artificial morning and afternoon. Ethan began to notice patterns in the plants' responses. Smaller humans, like him, triggered subtle pulses, while taller or stronger humans seemed to create broader reactions. He made notes carefully, unsure what the pattern meant but sensing it could be important. Then, a warning sounded. Oren's calm voice filled the lab. Alert! Unauthorized access detected in Laboratory Sector 4. Motion sensors indicate multiple entities. Security breach probable. Ethan froze. What does that mean? Lyria's expression hardened. It means we are not the only ones interested in this discovery. Follow me. They moved quickly to the sector containing the most sensitive experiments. As they approached, Ethan saw two alien researchers attempting to tamper with the plants. Their species were known for intense competitiveness, and their disdain for humans was barely concealed. One of them reached toward a plant cluster, intending to manipulate the energy fields with alien technology. Stop! Lyria shouted. She and Ethan intervened, but the aliens were skilled and fast. Ethan had never faced a confrontation like this, yet his human instincts guided him. He noticed the plant's reactions to different touches. With careful positioning, he guided the human's hands to stabilize the cluster, redirecting its energy. The plant's pulses intensified and created a barrier of sorts, startling the intruders. The aliens stumbled back, surprised. Lyria's eyes narrowed. They did not anticipate the human effect. They thought force and technology would succeed where subtlety fails. Ethan felt a rush of confidence. The plants, responding to his presence, provided the advantage. He moved among them, adjusting their energy pulses in tandem with Lyria's calculations. Together, they created a wave of synchronized light that effectively blocked the intruders' access. The rival researchers retreated, muttering in frustration. Breathing heavily, Ethan turned to Lyria. I can't believe that worked. You believe it because it did, she said, her expression softened. You have human qualities that even we do not fully understand. Courage, intuition, adaptability. These are strengths, Ethan. This is why the plants respond to you. The success energized both of them. They spent the remainder of the day analyzing the plants' behavior in light of the intrusion. Ethan learned to interpret the subtle shifts in energy fields, discovering that humans could stabilize or enhance growth in ways aliens could not. Each interaction built his confidence, and with it, The partnership between human and alien researchers strengthened. By the artificial evening, the lab was quiet again. The plants pulsed gently, and Ethan felt a deep connection to the vibrant life surrounding him. Lyria moved to one of the largest specimens, observing it carefully. "Tomorrow," she said thoughtfully, "we will expand our studies beyond flora. I want to see if human presence affects other Veloran life forms, microfauna, fungi, even the energy matrices in soil samples." Ethan's heart raced. He was beginning to realize the full extent of what he might contribute. Humans, he understood now, had an unforeseen potential in this alien ecosystem. It was humbling and exhilarating. For the first time in his life, he felt that his species could make a tangible difference on a cosmic scale. As night fell, Ethan floated back to his quarters, reflecting on the day. He thought about the accidental comment that had begun this journey. What he had feared would be embarrassment had turned into opportunity, discovery, and recognition. He felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. For once, being human was not a limitation, it was a strength. The next day, Lyria greeted him with an urgency that immediately captured his attention. "Ethan, today we test the human effect on complex interactions. We must proceed carefully. The results could be groundbreaking." They worked tirelessly, experimenting with combinations of plants and other life forms. Ethan observed that his presence seemed to harmonize energy flows between species, creating stability in otherwise unpredictable reactions. Lyria documented each observation meticulously, noting the distinct human influence. Their work did not go unnoticed. Other researchers began to gather outside the lab, curious about the ongoing experiments. Whispers of human effect circulated quietly, spreading across Artemis 7. Ethan felt a mix of pride and apprehension. His accidental comment had sparked something much larger than he could have imagined. As the day progressed, an even greater challenge emerged. A massive energy surge appeared in one of the lab sectors, threatening to destabilize multiple experiments. Ethan instinctively moved toward the center, placing his hands near the primary energy node. The plants responded immediately, their pulses amplifying and stabilizing the surge. Lyria followed, coordinating the response, her calculations precise and confident. The surge subsided, the lab returning to equilibrium. Ethan stepped back, panting, as Lyria turned to him with an expression of genuine admiration. "You saved the experiments. Your human presence stabilized the energy in a way no technology or alien method could have achieved." Ethan's mind raced. He had simply acted on instinct, responding to what he saw and felt. Yet the result was undeniable. Humans, he realized, were not just participants in the universe. They were catalysts, capable of influencing systems in ways others could not. By the time the artificial night descended, Artemis 7 had settled into quiet. Ethan and Lyria reviewed the day's results, compiling data that would redefine interspecies research. Lyria looked at him, her expression unusually soft. "Ethan, your accidental comment may have been small, but it revealed a truth that cannot be ignored. Humans have unique qualities. Insight, intuition, courage. You exemplify this." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. "I just did what felt right." "That is precisely why it worked," Lyria said. "Logic alone could not have achieved this. Only perspective, human perspective could." Their collaboration, born of an accident, had grown into a partnership that might change how humans were perceived across the galaxy. For Ethan, the journey from a simple comment to cosmic influence was overwhelming and exhilarating. He had started the day unsure of his place in the universe. Now, he understood that humans, his species, had a distinct, powerful role to play. As Ethan prepared to leave the lab, Lyria handed him a data pad containing the compiled results. "Tomorrow," she said, "we expand this study further. The universe is vast, and humans have only begun to uncover their potential within it." Ethan floated through the station's corridors, the artificial gravity light against his body. He thought of the plants, their pulsing energy, and the way the universe seemed to respond differently to humans. A small accidental comment had opened doors, created discoveries, and revealed truths that could reshape understanding across species. He had never felt more certain of his worth, more aware of the potential carried by humans. And as he looked out through the observation dome at Velora's swirling clouds, Ethan smiled. The universe was vast and filled with mysteries, but for the first time, he understood one profound truth: humans mattered. Their presence could change outcomes, stabilize chaos, and unlock potential in ways no other species could. The accidental comment had sparked a revolution, one that was only just beginning.